All began with our director, Scott Francis, back in 2013. He noticed there was sort of a lack of pathways for kids to get into cycling in Angus. I originally started Bikeability back in 2013. And after doing that for a couple of years, we managed to get some funding through Angus Council to get us our premises start out in 2015. And in 2015, that's when we opened our first cycle hub in Angus. And then through that, we started getting bikes recycled through the local council through Angus. So all the bikes get chucked out for the local recycling centres in Angus. We're able to take in, process and fix up what we can, salvage what we can, able to sell them out for our shop at a reduced affordable price for local people. And then just snowballed from there really after getting increased funding. Managed to get a new premise in Arbroath as well in 2018, which is a bigger premise that allowed us to have more staff and more space to be able to just increase what we're doing and just carry on doing it. Dundee began through, it was again a part project for the active travel hub in Dundee, the new active travel hub in Dundee, and we managed to get lucky enough to win the bid for it back in 2021. And with this, we opened up the new Dundee cycle hub, active travel hub, and from there we've obviously got the shop here doing all the bike servicing and hire, etc. And we've also got the cafe as well in here. We'll get in bikes, either donations from the public, so old bikes that you don't use anymore, and also bikes from Angus Council's recycling centres. And then with these bikes, we would again repurpose them, fix them up to a standard, and then through various parts across Dundee and Angus, we'll be able to give out free bikes to kids. Firstly, free bikes to kids who might not always have access to a bike or couldn't afford one. And then more recently as well to adults as well who in similar circumstances might not have access to afford one. And most recently over the last about two and a half years, we've given out 1,700 free bikes to kids and adults across Dundee, Angus, and I recently also extended to Perth and Kinross, and also Murray and Aberdeenshire as well for giving these free bikes out. So the bikes come from, we get donated from various members of the public around Dundee and Angus mainly, who, like I say, have bikes they no longer need or no longer use, and also a main source of bikes come from Angus recycling centres. So bikes that might otherwise be going to a landfill from all these centres around Angus, now get repurposed and directed to us, and we're able to get them out to people who can benefit from them. We've had a good long-standing relationship with Angus Council, and I've been collecting all just used bikes from recycling centres since 2015, which has been a huge help to us. Through Dundee City Council, for example, we've got various funding through them through the SCSP funding, which is Smarter Choices, Smarter Places. And we run a few projects with them. One of the most recent ones we've done is a project to do with the low emission zone that's recently come into Dundee. And we've received funding to get in a fleet of electric cargo bikes that we can loan out to local businesses to help them make the transition. So instead of using, a petrol diesel powered van, for example, for moving goods around, a lot of the time these journeys are really, really short, but under a mile or two. And in those scenarios, often an electric cargo bike can be a great alternative. So one of our big projects has been loaning out to businesses, seeing how it works for them, and these are free loans for them. And then after that initial free loan, we can then put them in contact and see how they can go out and actually purchase one if it works out for them. So we deliver bikeability in all of Angus, and that's for our bikeability officer, John Bremner, and we've been doing that for a number of years, and that's been going fantastic. Recently been working with Angus schools on a project, a Park, Stride and Thrive project we've been working on recently with Angus Council, which is aimed around reducing traffic around primary schools. So essentially trying to ease local air pollution, congestion, and just improve safety around schools. And the idea behind that is just by implementing walking and cycling buses for the primary schools, we'll negate the need for parents to have to drop their kids off right at the school doors. And so we recently ran the first one in Newtown, where we did a cycle bus on just this Monday, and that went fantastic. And again, we started at various points in the village and went up collecting kids around the village, and then ended up at the school. And again, it was easier for parents can drop the kid off at the edges of the village rather than right at the school doors. And then it's just also improving the local environment in the school and reducing traffic. terms of hiring bikes, we hire out bikes both at Dundee and Angus cycle hubs, and have a fleet of electric and normal pedal bikes we hire out. Especially in the Dundee area, out in the waterfront here next to V&A, they've been very popular. It's a fantastic way to sort of, be able to get around the city and explore on them. So we've recently started working with Angus Climate Hub since around December time, and we've been working on a number of projects with them, but the main ones we've been doing are the new active travel steering group for Angus. And the whole purpose behind this is to get sort of local feedback from individuals as well as local businesses, and to hopefully try and best direct sort of active travel funds to make sure they're actually going to active travel projects that will be most useful for the local community, is sort of the whole idea behind that. And we've also had funding from the Angus Climate Hub to do a wee pilot project for a care group in Angus. So it's Abbey Care in Angus, and the idea is they've currently got a lot of carers who just sort of walk between all their clients. And the idea is to get them access to an electric bike and to make it a lot more accessible and just easier and quicker, and just to trial that and see how that goes. Yeah, so we host several volunteers. We actually believe we have just over 20 volunteers now, and these volunteers are mainly based at our Angus Cycle Hub in Arbroath. So volunteers help us with a range of activities. A lot of them help us with upcycling and repurposing old recycled bikes. So we have, like say, a workshop in Arbroath, and we have a few sort of trained mechanics who then guide all the volunteers. And not only the volunteers get to sort of help repurpose these bikes, then give out to kids and adults who might not otherwise have access to them, and they also get to learn skills along the way. So they get to basically work with the mechanics to learn specific bike skills for building up the bikes. And we also have volunteers helping out on, we do lead rides, so around Dundee and Angus hubs as well. So we do quite a few lead rides around there, and also around the local pickups for the recycling centres as well. We've got volunteers helping out with them as well. So for volunteer numbers, COVID of course had a big impact on that. So we used to have probably about a dozen volunteers or so before COVID. Then once COVID hit, we of course had to sort of stop the volunteers, just because with all the measures in place that would make things a bit tricky. But since then, at the start of last year, we actually employed a volunteer development officer to try and build back up the volunteer sort of team, because it's such a big part of the company. Not something we wanted to let go. And since then, we've had a really, really good uptake in volunteers. As I said, we've got just over 20 volunteers now, and it's been a really, really positive impact to the company from there. In terms of the challenges we're experiencing, of course, funding is always a bit of a tricky one. We've been in the third sector, it can chop and change quite a bit. And with the locals, with Smarter Choices, Smarter Places recently changing up their funding, that's of course been a big change, and having to look at other ways to seek funding out and manage that and work around that has been quite a challenge. So for future planning, we're always trying to be as flexible as possible. I think that's a big, strong suit for our company, is how adaptable we are to what opportunities come up through funding and otherwise. For example, about 3 years ago now, we expanded threefold in the space of just a couple of months. And that was with the opening of the new Dundee Cycle Hub, which we're in now, and then also the launch of our Recycles Free Bikes for Kids project as well. We managed just to acquire a new warehouse in Forfar, which will allow us to process all the recycled bikes. So we go through thousands of recycled bikes every single year, and these obviously take up quite a lot of space. So new space in Forfar is designed to basically help us process through these a lot more efficiently, so we can get through a lot more and get them out to people who need them. Yeah, so we've recently developed a new app for helping sort of manage and keep track of all our sort of recycled bikes through this project, and it has been a huge help. And that's mainly credit to my colleague David Evans, who's been the main developer of the app. And we use it to sort of track not only the inventory of the bikes, but also for the Free Bikes for Kids and Adults project, and we're able to use it to track sort of all the recipients of the bikes. And there's been a big help not only for us, but we've also had one of our partners, Stella's Voice in Aberdeen, use it as well for their sort of bike tracking as well. And they've partnered up with us for giving out some of the free bikes in Aberdeen City as well. So the Free Bikes for Kids project, they're handing that for the Aberdeen side of things as well.